So 5.1, part 1, we did on Tuesday of Swag Week, I believe. So we need to finish it up. It's fairly easy today. I think third hour thought it was pretty easy. I think some people even finished the assignment in class. So let's get into it. Let's talk about part 1 a little bit. Let's say I have... That's not very good. There we go. The cube root of 21. What's another way I could write that?
21 to the 1/3 power.
21 to the 1/3 power. That's a lot of what part 1 was about, is that I can write a radical expression with a rational exponent. Make sure our heads are up, our hoods are off, our masks are up, IDs are on, we're paying attention. So let's get into part 2. Jump right into an example. Now that we all have our calculators, it says evaluate each expression using a calculator. Round your answer to 2 decimal places. So we can just type this in the calculator. If you don't know how to get the exponent, you would click 9. Click our exponent button, the little caret key. And then you would click the button that has n over d to get the fraction up in the exponent.
Wait, you put what button?
Look up here.
The arrow button. Oh, okay.
9, this little caret key, and then the n over d. That just stands for numerator over denominator, so a fraction. And then you can type in your 1, go down a spot, type in 5, hit enter. And it wants us to round to 2 decimal places. So what are we getting for 9 to the 1/5? 1.55. That's it for letter A. It just says evaluate each expression using a calculator. What's another way I could write 9 to the 1/5?
Or 5. The 5th root of.
Yep. I heard someone say 5 radical. It's the 5th root of 9. You could even type it in your calculator like that if you wanted to, if you know how to get the 5th root on your calculator. Okay? Let's do letter B. What are we getting for?
3 on the top or 1?
Yep, 12 to the 3/8.
2.54.
2.54. Approximately. Everyone see that? What's another way I could write 12 and 3/8?
3, where's 8?
So 8 radical 12 raised to the 3rd power. I could type it in my calculator like that. Any questions on B? Letter C, I have the 4th root of 7 raised to the 3rd power. If I wanted to, I could type it in my calculator like this. What's another way to write it, though? Do what? 7 to the 3/4. I could even do it like this. I could type it in my calculator any of those 3 ways. Here, here, or here. Okay? So what is 7 to the 3/4, or the 4th root of 7 to the 3rd power? 4.30. Questions on C? Those ones are pretty easy. Just type them in your calculator. Just know that there's different ways to write these, and I would know all the ways to write these. Everyone good on how we wrote all these? All the different ways to write them. Any questions on example 3? A, B, or C? Yes?
My calculator's broken.
I'll get you a new one. You just use this one. Any questions on example 3? Can I move on? Solving equations using nth roots. To solve an equation of the form u to the nth power equals d, where u is an algebraic expression, take the nth root of each side. So if I have x to the 10th power, to get rid of that exponent of 10, I would take the 10th root of both sides. Whatever your n value is, your index, or your exponent, that's going to be your index on the root that you take to get rid of it. Solve an equation of the form u to the n power equals d, where u is an algebraic expression. Take the nth root of each side. Hopefully it makes more sense once we see an example. Can I go ahead and move on? Okay, example 4. Find the real solutions of 4x to the 5th equals 128 and x minus 3 to the 4th equals 21. So letter A, 4x to the 5th equals 128. So here I'm just solving equations. What's my goal when I'm solving equations? Get x by itself. What would be my first step here to get x by itself? Divide both sides by 4. What's 128 divided by 4? 32. Okay, now I have x to the 5th equals 32, which looks similar to u to the n power equals d. So what do I need to do, or what does it tell me to do in the sentence? Take the nth root of each side. What's my n over here? 5. So which root am I taking of both sides? 5th root. When I take the 5th root of something to the 5th power, it just becomes, it gets rid of that exponent. So now I'm left with x. Does everyone see that? Okay, now I've got to figure out what the 5th root of 32 is, or 32 to the 1/5 power, or what number times itself times itself times itself times itself gives me 32. What is it? 2. Do I need to put a plus or minus in front of it?
Yes.
Yes, I heard
No,
yes. I heard no.
No.
Which one is
Oh,
it?
yes,
Because
yes.
if you have a negative, it's going to, the answer's going to be.
Very good. Goes back to our little chart that we wrote down last Tuesday, where your n value is either even or odd. In this case, our n value is odd. And if your a value is less than 0, equal to 0, or greater than 0, remember when our n value was odd, a was greater than 0, how many real solutions did we have?
2. I don't know.
1. So my only answer is positive 2. So you will use that chart a little bit today. So you might want to know where that's at. Questions on A? Not too bad, right? Going back to solving equations. Can I erase and move to B? Letter B, x minus 3 to the 4th equals 21. What do I need to do first to get x by itself? Huh?
Distribute.
Make sure I don't add 3 to both sides.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, it's,
You gotta
well, but
distribute.
I'm not distributing.
But that's
Why
inside
not?
the parentheses.
Do what? What, Caden?
Said,
You're right. I can't add 3 to both sides because it's tied down by the parentheses into the fourth power. So what did you say first?
I said we need to take the fourth root.
You got to take the fourth root of both sides. Get rid of that exponent first.
Alright.
I was just trying to trick you. So that gets rid of the exponent of 4. Do I know what the fourth root of 21 is? Just off the top of my head. Is it a nice whole number? Huh? It's not, is it? So I'm just going to leave it as the fourth root of 21 for now. Do I need a plus or minus in front of it?
No.
Yeah.
Remember, when our n value was even and a was greater than 0, I have 2 real solutions. So it's plus or minus fourth root of 21.
But if it says is... Never mind.
My n value is even, right?
I got you.
A value is greater than 0.
Yeah.
So how many real solutions do I have?
2.
2. Now, how can I get x by itself? Add 3 to both sides. Everyone seeing that? So my 2 solutions are 3 plus the fourth root of 21 and 3 minus the fourth root of 21. And now I can just type each of these into my calculator. Does everyone know how to get the fourth root in your calculator? If you don't know how to, what could you do?
21.
Ask or
21 to the 1.
21 to the 1/4 power. You could do 3 plus 21 to the 1/4 power. Either way would work. Right? So what are we getting for 3 plus 21 to the 1/4 or the fourth root of 21? Huh? 5.14 approximately. And 3 minus 21 to the 1/4 gives us what?
0.
Huh? 0.86. So my 2 solutions are approximately 5.14 and 0.86. Questions on example 4? Not too bad? I would have that chart handy on your assignment. That way you know how many real solutions you have for each one. That way you know whether you put the plus or minus or you don't. Okay? So know where that chart is in your notes or in your book, wherever. Can I move on? Huh? Last example. You don't necessarily have to write this down. This is in your book. So if you just want to pay attention up here and follow along, and then you can go back and look in your book if you need to. It's just a nice little word problem for us. It's always nice to throw some of these in here. So it says, a hospital purchases an ultrasound machine for $50,000. That's a lot of money. The hospital expects the useful life of the machine to be 10 years, at which time its value will have depreciated to $8,000. The hospital uses the declining balances method for depreciation, so the annual depreciation rate R in decimal form is given by the formula R equals 1 minus S over C to the 1 over N power. In the formula, N is the useful life of the item in years, S is the salvage value in dollars, and C is the original cost in dollars. What annual depreciation rate did the hospital use? So let's look at this real quick. It gives us everything we need. Don't be scared because it's a word problem. It says N is the useful life of the item in years. Do I know what the useful life is?
Yeah,
10. It tells me the hospital expects the useful life of the machine to be 10 years. Everyone okay with that? S is the salvage value. Do I know the salvage value? I guess I could say the value after it has depreciated,
Oh, $80,000.
$8,000.
Yes, sir.
So I know my salvage value. Do I know my original cost? $50,000. I can just plug all these values in to the formula it gives me. And type it in my calculator. So there's a few ways you could go about this. You could type it in your calculator just like this. Or you could do it a little bit at a time. You could do what's inside the parentheses first. Raise that to the 1/10 and then subtract that from 1. I tend to usually just type it in like it is. But you've got to be careful when you do that. Make sure your cursor is on the correct spot when you're typing in. Possibly. So what are we getting approximately? Let's go to 3 decimal places. 0.167. So if you wanted to do that as a percent, you can move your decimal 2 places to the right. So the annual depreciation rate that the hospital used was 16.7%. Any questions on that? Not too bad. Don't be intimidated by word problems just because it looks like a big, long, hard problem. That wasn't that hard, was it? Just look at what it's asking, look what it gives you, identify what it gives you, and then you can start plugging stuff in that you have. Okay? Questions about our notes? Here's our assignment, pages 245 through 246, numbers 19 through 45 odds. And I'd go ahead and write this down, this volume formula for a sphere. You're going to need that on problem number 33. And I'll write it a little bigger. V equals 4/3 times pi r cubed. What does r stand for? Radius. I believe on number 33 you're actually finding the radius. It'll give you the volume. So you plug the volume in for V and then start solving for R. Are there any questions about any of this? This will be due Wednesday the 31st, so this coming Wednesday on Canvas. Like I said, some people in my last hour finished this in class. So, are there any questions before I end the recording? Good?